yeah.
Well, I mean, we literally bought the $5,000 camera and,
Yeah.
did the online. Yeah, so step 1, buy the camera or finance the camera. Ooh. Step 2, take those online classes. Okay, they're great, you get your certificate, but step 3 is really learning through experience, so.
Yeah.
This is step 3,
Yeah.
This was a good one, this was pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
So anyways, I gotta pack up pretty quickly. We got another appointment in San Bernardino, but we do have time for sort of a walk through.
Okay, awesome.
A verbal walkthrough.
Great.
So we're all comfortably seated. So, the roof, the roof has a number of small issues that are ticking time bombs because your ridge shingles are cracking. So roofing terminology, a valley is the low point, the field is the slope, and the crease is the ridge, right? Your ridge shingles have a really big crease to them because the roof is so steep, so they're cracking. The ridge shingles have to be replaced. And why that's such a time bomb is that if moisture gets into the ridge shingles, water goes downhill, and literally everything is downhill from there. So really important to get your ridge shingles redone. The field still has a lot of life in it, but if the ridge shingles start leaking and water gets underneath the roof sheeting, or if it gets in between the roof and the roof sheeting, or in between the roof and the membrane, or any combination of all the above, then whatever 15-year lifespan your field has left on paper can go out the window. So it's important maintenance. Also, just getting all those leaves off, because what's happening is they're starting to leach acid. You'll notice not a lot of things will grow right underneath a pine tree because the pine needles are so acidic, California has a new law that requires people to compost all their stuff in green waste. The mountain area is exempt because the pine needles that we have up here are just so acidic, they don't make good mulch. You don't want to garden with your pine needles, right? So anyways, getting off topic here, how does that relate to you? The pine needles are leaching those acids onto the roof, and they're deteriorating the glue that holds the asphalt shingle together. So they should be swept off. And it's okay, every roof here has some pine needles on it, but it's just getting excessive with how they're caught in that valley. And again, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Once those are all cleared off, take a closer look at that valley, because when we look where the rafters meet the sidewall below that valley, we do see little discolorations on the corner of the rafters, which is the first fingerprint of moisture intrusion, or the first clue. And if there was a leak, it wouldn't necessarily be causing all the drywall to fall off. It can just be leaving little yellow stains, which are very easy to paint over, and we know that the sellers are willing to hide stuff, Going down from there, the attic looks pretty clean for the most part. Right now they have drywall sort of blocking off the garage attic to the house attic, so I was not able to look in there this time around. I don't know, before I leave I might just say screw it and just try to push some of that drywall to the side to look in there maybe real quick before I leave.
Okay.
So we'll hold that thought, but from what I can see, it's pretty clean. Going on into there, garage, you have some cracking in the slab. Of course, you have a raised garage floor, so you're going to have some cracks in the concrete. The supports underneath it do look pretty good, except for the fact that a lot of moisture is going under the garage. As we talked about, where the driveway goes downhill to the garage, there's no French drain. There's really no curvature to the concrete to get rid of the water, so it's seeping into that crack in between the garage and the concrete. And when you go into the granny flat or whatever they were building, I wouldn't want to make my grandma walk down those stairs, but if we can call it a granny flat for this conversation, you can see a lot of moisture is coming through there where the water kind of waterfalls in, as well as in the corner of the garage. Some of it actually makes it under the garage door and pulls up there. Garage door itself, for how much it's been through, that wood is in decent condition. I would say save the garage door, but the garage door opener, the safety mechanisms have been disabled or removed if they were ever there to begin with. It looks like the original 80s garage door opener. So you want a garage door opener with one of the infrared beams that goes across the bottom, especially for kids. They have no sense of self-awareness or danger, Like a dog can reasonably see the garage door is closing, let me get out of the way. A toddler, for some reason, they're just like, So, I mean, all bad jokes aside, it's important, it's required by law, important to have those safety mechanisms in for the garage door. And then, you talked about the electric car. Even if you don't get rid of the electric car, even if you do get rid of it, if you're here full time, I would recommend getting a Generac.
Okay.
with even with fireplaces and stuff, just with little kids and the wife here, you could tough it out with no power for a number of days. But it's just better to have the Generac if you're here full time, and that's outside the scope of the home inspection. But that's just an honest truth that applies to it. Yeah, it's yeah.
Of course.
You can tell who has one because when the power goes out, there's two kinds of people. One type have a thing buzzing on the side of their house, and then the other side are looking out their front porch and just, yeah, I hear generators, honey. The powers are out, So, and then you can always get like a gas generator, but you got to refill the gasoline every 2 hours, and you can only run like 3 things off of each generator. So, those like portable generators from Harbor Freight, they're nice in a pinch. One for the refrigerator, one for the TV, but at the end of the day, it doesn't cut it for like a multiple day power outage. Going on from there, gas piping all looks good. I can see the water heater when I press the button to light the pilot is not sparking. I'm having trouble lighting the pilot, and the water heater is technically past its life expectancy.
2009, I think it was.
It's 2004,
Yeah.
So that makes it 17 years old.
Yeah.
Or 19 years old. Why can I not do very basic math? Well, anyways, it is what it is. My no math scores here. 19 years old, it is technically past its lifespan. Doesn't mean in any way, shape, or form that it doesn't work, but going into the future, it will become an increasing risk of leakage and failure. We don't know how much calcium is built up in there, but there's no water softener on the house and everything. They probably haven't drained it. It's probably got a little bit going on. That said, it is installed, strapped to make it through appraisal. Your furnace is working, no air conditioner. More and more people are getting air conditioner up here, but it's really not necessary. It's a luxury, It's really like what you say, like right around August, it does get into the low 90s, so some people run their air conditioners if they have it, but you're also kind of up and exposed. I think the higher you are, the more exposure you have, the better it is for like the August heat waves, because you're going to have some airflow. Whereas if like you're down, I don't know, and like let's pick on Valley of Enchantment. Everyone picks on VOE. If you're down in like VOE, like down at the bottom of the valley, and you get no wind going through there, then like a hot summer day can feel like 100 degrees. It can be miserable. So yeah, decent location for sure. Going through the interior, I could go on and on. But basically, it needs to be remodeled to whatever degree you're capable, willing to, and desire to remodel it, Rather than getting bogged down in all the details, there's a lot going on downstairs and stuff. They put in the new floor, but it doesn't fix the causal problems they were having with the subfloor there. And that's really sort of the big two for me, is structurally, even though your foundation doesn't have that many cracks, there are still some red flags here. And this is where I have to take a step back, resist the urge to say more than I know, and take a step back into the lane of the home inspector and say, we're doing a visual walkthrough of the house, and basically looking for red flags. I can't give you a final answer one way or another as to every detail of what's going on with the house structurally, but the floor is out of level in so many places, and they've even covered it up to a degree. But if you put the golf ball down there, it rolls to the corner. The more you walk through the house, the more you start to feel how out of level it is. Even the entryway slopes to one side, and then they have caulking on the downhill side of the entryway to keep the water from going into the walls, probably from people's wet boots and stuff. So structurally, there's a lot of red flags. If I were in your shoes and I had the budget to take care of everything else we've been talking about, my main concern would be structurally, you have all these red flags, you could get a structural engineer out here. Again, they usually charge about $1,000. Rarely do home buyers do that, but without that, I think you're sort of rolling the dice and having to be comfortable with a little bit of risk, because there's just a degree of uncertainty with that. And then the second would be the moisture intrusion. It's very easy to go through the interior and repair it. We can even test for the mold and find out how bad it is, but then to stop it from being the thing that reoccurs year after year, that's what's going to be the challenging part, because it was built in such a way that we just have moisture coming in through both decks. And it's not the only house on the mountain that's had a little bit of moisture intrusion coming through the deck, but getting the licensed contractor out here to fix it. And you can talk to them on the phone, but you can't get a quote over the phone, because they're going to have to start ripping it out to see what they need to do to fix it. And that's where the price tag has like a question mark with it. Mm-hmm. And then on that side of the house where the water has come through the wall, and in the garage, all those places,
Okay.
It's not impossible to stop the future moisture intrusion, but
Sometimes it takes a minute. Yeah.
it takes a minute, and
I
sometimes
have one spot that
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
finally think I got it, but
Yeah.
It's trial and error a little bit.
What-
I know
I-
that too.
yeah.
I inspected a house in Twin Peaks last fall, and we noted some stains around the baseboards. And then, come February, it's raining and snowing every day. And I come over there to check it out and talk to the people who were my former clients. And the entire downstairs is flooded with like 2 inches of water,
That's bad.
And that's like a horror story. That's worst case scenario. But, I only bring that story up, which is not to use any kind of scare tactics. It's just sort of saying with that downstairs room where the moisture is coming through the uphill side, we have absolutely no way of knowing how bad exactly it gets at its worst. We got to judge it by its worst, not by its best. And then of course, when you do go to fix it, sometimes the first attempt fails. Mick Hill is one of the big builders in Crestline. You probably cross paths with him. He's got to hate me by now because I've caused like 5 of his escrows to fall out over the past couple years. And one of them was a house with moisture intrusion through the hillside, the new construction off of Highway 138. And they went out there and then they fixed it, and then it rained again, and then it came back. So they went out there and they fixed it, and then it rained, and then it got back. And I keep going back and forth to the property, and everything they did to fix it, and this is a guy who built the house, so he knows every detail about it. Even he was having trouble getting it to stop.
Okay.
And these are new construction too, so which is not in any way to try to scare you away from the house, because I know that you very, very much like the house. But those would be, if I were in your shoes, the 2 things I would really have to meditate on, is, maybe getting some more information structurally, and then being prepared for sort of the long-term issue of the moisture intrusion.
Okay.
And then especially if we do find bad mold spores in our samples, then it's going to come down to, it will increase the risk of what happened. If all we find is like very benign mold species, that's very good news. And you never know up in the mountains. You never know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really come up with anything dangerous.
Yeah, in your mold test. I was gonna say, the more urban the area, the worse it seems it is with the mold.
Okay.
The more densely populated, the more urban the
Interesting.
area. Well, I just think it.
Toxins and different. Yeah, I have no idea how mold works, but
I just think it's that when you see spores, all you're seeing is the fruiting body of a fungus, and that can be literally anything. I think there's more species of fungus than like all the animals and plants and bacteria combined, right?
Yeah,
Or maybe I'm wrong on that.
no,
Please
that's.
don't
I think
quote
that's
me.
fact. Yeah.
So I need someone to fact check me.
No,
I
I think.
need a
Yeah, I
producer.
think it's like times 100.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of species of mold. Most of them are benign. The whole planet is covered in mold, right?
Okay.
Right.
The
So
whole
we're
planet
just
is
looking
covered
for
in
a
fungus.
few.
Yeah, we're just looking for a few that
Yep.
just are really
We know.
toxic. And for whatever reason, in more like urban areas, I tend to find the black mold more, probably because it grows in houses, and when there's one house next to another house next to another house, whereas you're not surrounded by houses, you're surrounded by trees.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that's a lot to take in. And then also there's 2 leaks under that sink. One, when any water gets on the countertop, it goes in around the air gap for the dishwasher. And then 2, the actual drain for the sink is leaking.
Okay.
So we ran the water for a few minutes there, and it's kind of wet under the sink. I don't see any mold there, but
Okay. All right.
on the underside of that cabinet base, you never know what could be there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'll have to get on the report.
Yeah. On
go from there.
Comparatively speaking, with other homes that you inspect, I know you got to go. Thank you for your time. You've been
No
more
one's
than
called me
thorough.
yet asking where we are.
How would you rate this house on a scale of 1 to 10 compared to others in terms of the issues we're dealing with?
Structurally, I can't answer it because of the question mark. In terms of moisture, intrusion and stuff, I would have to give it kind of a low rating. In terms of just like the location.
Low rating as in
and
bad, or low rating as...
Low rating is like, it's kind of bad with the moisture intrusion.
Okay.
In terms of the actual property itself, it has a lot of potential,
Yeah.
I like that you have a decent amount of livable outdoor space and you have a decent amount of privacy. when you look behind your deck, you have a wall of greenery. You don't have, like, in terms of like that side of it, I think it's a great house.
Yes.
And the fact that you're at the end of a cul-de-sac and you have a little kid, that's,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what state you're buying in, what city,
Yeah.
what county,
I
what
agree.
environment. Everyone likes a cul-de-sac
Yeah.
for little kids, even for yourself, not
Yeah.
having through traffic. So there's a lot of good points. But those aren't my area. My area is just the home inspection area. And the house, in terms of the home inspection stuff, I hate to do the 1 to 10 thing, but the house has been on the market for a long time for a reason.
Yeah.
It's going to be a commitment.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing a little bit about the deck? What we talked about with Cindy?
The
Didn't
deck.
think it was a do-over, but it's definitely some repairs in terms of the railing and such.
We'll have to get the pest control report before we
Oh,
make a final decision on the
right.
deck. I would get your own. I wouldn't trust the sellers because there's some major rot on some of the really big load-bearing beams, and that's where the problem comes down to, because those beams freaking expensive now to replace those beams. The cost of lumber, I know it went up during the pandemic and then it went down when the buildings slowed down, and it's always up and down, and then goes back up with like Russia sanctions and then back down. It's kind of a volatile material, but one way or another, once you get to beams like that, it's expensive one way or another. We're not talking about 2x4s. We're not talking about.
I have Adolfo from Empire Solutions coming out.
Oh,
Monday.
Adolfo's great. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm good friends with Adolfo, but I'm great acquaintances with him.
Right,
You know?
right. Well, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what so Adolfo, he's a solid guy for sure.
Okay.
You know, I've known him for a number of years. I recommend him to all my clients up here. You know,
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to recommend Craig and Sons, and then I just can't do it anymore. You know,
Yeah, well, John left.
Johnny left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he was a
So-
character. So,
Yeah.
what is he solo now, or is he retired, or is he?
I don't know.
And that's
I
the
don't
thing. I
know.
can't find him. I tried looking him up. I tried calling
Yeah.
him. I tried finding him.
No, they have another guy.
He's
He's
yeah.
okay. He's a little inexperienced, I think.
And that's the thing, and he had his experience down in Redlands. So yeah,
Yeah.
now that Johnny's gone, I recommend Adolfo for all my
Yeah.
clients. Adolfo
Yeah.
from Empire. Yeah. So
All
wherever
right,
Johnny is in the world.
Well, thank you, man. I mean, you've been, above and beyond thorough, so
Oh.
appreciate the extra time and
Oh yeah, no
and
problem, no
everything.
problem.
And also, obviously, the previous inspection report. Really looking
Right.
forward to
Yeah.
getting our hands on that. So thank you
Well,
for
this is
asking.
this is a unique one. It's cool being able to go to a property twace. You know.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't the
Can you
first property
send
I've
us the
inspected twice.
previous?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
you said
permission.
you
I got
got
permission
permission.
from the
Okay. So that's great.
Okay.
I feel like legally the best person for me to get permission to is the client who paid for the report, because it's their report.
Totally.
Right? So,
Right.
you know, and they're worried about, well, will they get in trouble? Their only worry is, are they going to get in trouble? Can they somehow get sued by the listing agent if it falls out of escrow and they happen to provide the report? And I'm not a legal advisor, but I'm telling them no. It's their property. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The report does not belong to the listing agent. You want to share
Right.
it with anyone. You want to share it with
Yeah.
your grandpa, share it with your grandpa. You want to share it with your rabbi or whoever. You're the guy at the deli, share it with the guy at the deli.
Exactly.
So it's their report. They paid for it. So they've given me the green light to give it
Okay.
to you.
Thank you very
As
much.
long as I pinky promise them they won't get sued over it, right?
I mean, this is just an A/B thing for us. It's just
mean,
further
it's-
exposure, so it's not. Yeah.
I don't know if I completely answered
Is
your
that,
question on
was
the
that
deck.
report, that person did not buy the property?
They fell out of escrow.
Okay.
She is more this is your first home purchase, right? So
Second, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
second, okay.
But first up here.
Okay. Nancy Fath, she is a really kind of hard and does a lot of homes and Airbnbs and stuff. She wasn't touching it, you know.
Wow.
And it's not to,
Yeah.
you know, this is just someone who has a lot of experience, and they were halfway through the inspection. You know, I finished it just to not half-ass my own job, but yeah, they were not. But also, it was just in a little bit different of a condition. You know, the floors you downstairs in the pool table room, they had carpet, so you could really feel the floor more. You know.
Okay.
And that was a big thing that scared them, you know, because then they went down into the crawl space with me, and we looked up and we couldn't see anything cracked or anything. It was just this wide open area with no supports, and it's easy enough to get to that point, but then it's a big jump to the next point. Well, what do you do about it to correct it? And the people who have been in charge of the house chose to correct it by hiding it, by putting a hard floor that doesn't show the slope as much. You know, or it still shows the slope. You can still feel there's a pretty dramatic slope in there, but you can't feel how the floor goes like that and then that. You know, and that's what really broke the deal for them. And also just they weren't sure what they were going to do about the moisture long term. You know,
Okay.
they didn't want the headache, so they just upped their budget a little bit.
Easier properties to.
And just bought a house over in like Cuffle Canyon that you know the second one was it for them, you know.
Okay. All right.
And I'm sure when I deal with her again in like a year or two, she buys another Airbnb every couple years. You know, we'll go from there.
Okay.
She's just slowed down by the interest rates. But yeah, so I mean, I'm just looking at the report real quick to see if there's anything I missed from last time. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean the house has potential. It's just a big commitment, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to be done here, you know. And if it's better safe than sorry on the budget. Just like if you want to redo the kitchen, I can completely understand why. You know, it's a weird zigzag countertop on the kitchen.
Yeah, that's strange. I mean, obviously, why not bring the island out and create some space there? I don't know. Yeah, it needs a new oven.
Like
don't need a double oven.
The island is just big enough to be in the way, but like not quite big enough
to
prepare food on.
Right.
Yeah, you could get one of the mobile ones on wheels.
Yeah. Like that one almost deserves to be like a mobile, just because it's like
It should be a mobile one.
it's such a small island.
Yeah.
But it is a weird kitchen. So I can understand how there's a lot of remodels you guys want to do and stuff, and even complete that downstairs area, expand your square footage. But yeah, I guess, do your best to try and figure out how much it's going to cost to create a long-term solution to the moisture intrusion.
Okay.
And that's a hard one talking to contractors too, because it's like, well, what do you want me to do? Fix the problem, or you know? And then you want to do stuff on the hillside. A lot of contractors don't want to do a whole lot of like landscape type work, so it is what it is. But it's stuff that has to be done.
Okay. Okay.
Retaining walls, French drains.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see how to fix it, but
Right.
you know, you could do a concrete French drain, you know, running stream that goes down.
Yeah.
I mean, you could fix it.
Yeah.
Right.
But you also have all of this to fix too.
Right. No, we're
The
talking
list
a few
is-
hundred.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I didn't fully answer the question on the deck, you know? Because is the deck a rebuild? It really comes down to what pest control says we can do about that big beam.
Okay.
You know, you'll be dealing with a pest control inspector who's pretty realistic about, you know,
Okay.
about whether or not it's salvageable or not.
Yeah.
But if that's not salvageable, then that's
Might be
gonna
that.
a
Well,
tough
that's
one
what
right there.
part of my estimates in the deck. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be
Yeah.
the tipping point.
But if that's salvageable and if it's more solid than it looks, which I would be surprised, you know, if it's more solid than it looks, then at the very least just tightening down the railing and stuff, because, you know,
Okay.
I don't think the someone leaning the wrong kind of way, or even not just leaning, but falling into the railing at the wrong angle, there are some really loose spots on the railing.
Ooh, let's not even talk about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to get icy and slippery out on the deck.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee. I mean,
Yeah,
technically,
that's got to
icy.
be airtight. That'd be the first thing I did.
Yeah. So, anyways,
I think we're wrapping it up, dude. Thanks for your patience. Yeah.
and then you wanted both mold spores.
I think we might as well, right? If it's another 125, let's. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to double check before he sends them in.
I think so.
Yeah, and then we'll have to we'll send them in on Monday.
Okay.
The lab should get them Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning.
Okay.
So let's just say Thursday morning to be safe. Normally they almost always do it same day. But let's say worst case scenario they have to do it the next morning, then say Friday.
Okay. Does that hold you up in any way on the other?
No, because
Okay.
it's completely outside the
Okay,
scope.
great. Okay.
So the home inspection report that I'm going to write you, the long report, is not going to include anything about the results of the mold test or anything about the sewer camera.
Okay. Okay,
You
cool.
know, so if I'm going to go by the book, I might even be putting, you know, yeah, it's not going to include the sewer camera or
Yeah.
the mold. You know?
Yep. Okay. Okay.
So-
It'll indicate that there is mold. It's just we don't know what kind it is. Yeah.
Just legally, I don't know where it stands. Me writing in a paragraph, we did an unofficial sewer camera inspection.
Yeah. Don't
and
even.
it was
No.
clean.
Don't
Yeah,
even
so-
worry about that. We're
Yeah.
you and I are in agreement on that. So. Okay. And then timing wise, you does Sunday count as the next day, or is it a Monday business day?
Probably Monday morning
Okay.
at this point, just because we're so far
Yep,
behind.
no
We didn't
problem.
get a whole lot written
Yeah.
down. And
No problem. No problem.
Well, then I'll also see